by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Tampa over the weekend. And while the first team offense looked pretty good, first team defense did not look that great. Of course, they didn't have Jeffrey Simmons or Tavondre Sweat. And then here's my biggest takeaway from this whole weekend of Titans talk and Titans football. The starting 11 on offense and the starting 11 on defense, please stay healthy. Because the depth on this team
non-existent
is the worst I've ever seen. And I understand that they're in a rebuild. There are steps you can take to make sure your depth is not this bad. It is downright, it's a crime. Like if Cam Ward goes down and we have to watch Brandon Allen and talk about Brandon Allen football for 8 weeks, we deserve hazard pay, Blaine. We need time and a half or something to have to talk about Brandon Allen football.
What if Tim Boyle?
If Tim Boyle's, I just won't show up to the station if it's Tim Boyle starting.
Oh,
resigns.
Now you talking about how to judge a player based off how he looks at practice to compare to a game. When the lights clicked on, I think Tim Boyle went to sleep. I'm like, this is why it made me go back and look at his bio. And I was like, man, I'm kind of interested in how he even got a shot at the National Football League.
Maybe it was something.
He was at Connecticut and he threw for some yardage, but he had always more interceptions than touchdowns. And then I kind of continued at Eastern Kentucky, right there, Jackson.
Yeah, so Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, and because, man, he throws a nice ball in practice, good athlete. Man, his body language was horrendous. And, oh, by the way, Brandon Allen, I'm going to just give him a pass. Everybody knows I'm probably not the biggest fan of him, but I'm not going to – I think he did okay, but there's still some parts of me – and I'm going to go to this. I heard Will Bowling say this morning, which is valid. I did not know this. He was on the sideline saying that his helmet set went out. Cool. Watch this. How many years has Brandon Allen been in the league?
Since he was drafted in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So that hints then a veteran quarterback, then he has to run up there on fourth down, has to go to the sideline, gets to play. Guess what? There is something, even Bill Callahan has to be accounted for this, something called, Jackson, timeout.
Yeah.
That you can use. You have 3 of them.
Right.
Why not? When a veteran quarterback would have called timeout. You don't give him a pass because he ran to the sideline because his helmet was out. No, you say, guess what? This is fourth down. Let's sit down and have a conversation. Since I didn't get the call, I'm going to call timeout. That's a veteran quarterback.
Right.
Guess what? That tells me he's still not a veteran quarterback. He hasn't played enough or had success enough to say that I should have called timeout there.
Yep.
Sorry. And by the way, that's on Bill Callahan.
Yeah.
Also,
Brian Callahan.
I'm sorry, Brian Callahan, the head coach. Yes.
Hey, it should be on Bill Callahan, too, for not telling Brian to
Right. Well, that's the same, right, being a former head coach. So what are your thoughts on that, Jackson? I mean, do you agree with that or disagree?
I agree with you because here's the thing.
I'm like, man, what's the veteran quarterback on the team
I think
for?
Brandon Allen is getting a pass because Tim Boyle was so bad. Now, listen. Tim Boyle and Brandon Allen had 2 different games.
No, his play was
better.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'm okay with saying that he shouldn't be put in the same tier as Tim Boyle.
No.
Brandon Allen looked like a quarterback 3.
That's what I've been saying. He is.
Tim Boyle looked like a quarterback that is part of a.
Still be part of Ball State or somewhere.
He's part of punked. Like we are all being punked that he's made it in this career so long. Is how I kind of feel. Huh? And I look at Brandon Allen and I'm like, okay, if so the headset goes out, you didn't call a timeout. The headset goes out. Well, you are the golden boy child of Brian Callahan because you know the playbook and you know the scenarios and you know the situations. It's like, okay, well, now I don't have Brian Callahan in my ear. I have no clue what to do. So you didn't call the timeout and you didn't know anything about the plays situationally.
He puts the panic button.
Yeah.
That's what it means. So that's inexperience.
And I get that could be a convenient excuse.
Right.
But that's what it feels like to me.
Not at year 9, 10. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
What you got, Jackson?
I feel like Tim Boyle is the you guys know Eli Manning's Chad Powers bit where he goes undercover at colleges as an NFL level quarterback. Tim Boyle is the opposite. He's just the reverse Chad Powers bit.
Yeah. I don't know what else. I know we're going to talk a lot about Cam Ward because I think there's a lot to take away from Cam Ward. And he's clearly the best quarterback. But I just don't find anything that was used. Like it's Brian Callahan said, well, Tim Boyle was in a bad spot. What bad spot? I mean, I get that he was in all these passing situations, but he's going up against guys who are in their first year. He's going against fourth stringers on the defense. So, he is a guy that's been in the league since 2018. He should look better than that.
Now, I'm going to say this about Callie. Name one time he's actually thrown
and I'm with
player
you.
under the bus.
But I think people...
So that's the part I do like, because he's got to go back and now coach the guy up. And guess what? He also may still need this guy, whether he's on the practice squad or not.
He's not
whatever,
cut yet.
But you just don't know. So behind the scenes, I think he is coaching them a little bit differently and talking to them a little bit differently. I just think publicly, I
get that, but people are using
sometimes
that.
you gotta. Sometimes you got to say, hey, man, we got to play better.
But people in the media are using that as he's in a bad spot. Let's just ride it off. That's not what happened in behind the scenes. They're not sitting there saying, oh, well, Tim Boyle, oh, poor baby, you were put in a bad spot. He was, if the bad spot was that he was against fourth and fifth stringers. But look at it this way, too. How many times have we said, we know these guys are not up to snuff to the level that the Tennessee Titans are putting them in. We know that Brandon Allen should be a quarterback 3. We know that Tim Boyle is probably a quarterback 4. We know that's where they're at. But when we talk about trying to upgrade this position, we talked about including you need to be able to see what you're getting out of the rest of the players on this offense and function like an offense. And how many people were quick to point out, well, Xavier Restrepo, he had Tim Boyle thrown to him, so we just can't look at. Well, that could be the regular season, but with Chimere DK and in games that matter, right? They need to upgrade this position just for the sake, really, of our own sanity, but for the sake of the entire team, because you just can't go out there with Brandon Allen. You just can't. And I understand that people are like, well, if Cam Ward is hurt, screw it. We
can draft that pass rush you said from Clemson.
Yeah, we can do it. Listen, you may be able to draft that guy anyway because this team's depth is atrocious regardless. But
speaking of pass rush, you got to tell me what you saw out of Femi.
There you go. That's my analysis.
Whoa!
I mean, it's what I saw on tape, and I don't know. I know that they're asking him to set the edge, but he's getting boat raced out of plays by number 41, which is Kokieft. They're Kokieft, and he is their third string or fourth string tight end that it was playing fullback, and he was just getting destroyed by this one guy on plays. Listen, we're going to talk about
he was playing patty cake. I was like, uh-oh.
But I mean, again, I just want to go back.
He definitely hustled to the ball, though.
Yeah. Well, you can't fault him there. He loves football, so that's super important.
Man,
this again, and this will be the last time we'll hopefully talk about the backup quarterback situation. But neither of these guys showed they could be a quarterback 2 in this league. In terms of passer rating, Blaine, we're talking about the 84th best quarterback in Brandon Allen and the 89th best quarterback in Tim Boyle out of 90 quarterbacks that threw a preseason pass over the weekend. This is not a good team. Completion percentages were also low in those 90s, I think, and all that. These guys were not good regardless of the situation they were put in. And these guys if these guys were rookies, what's his name? Connor Bazelak.
You see what he looked like?
Looked better than both of these guys.
Watch this. Kyle Trask. Did you see how he looked?
Yes.
I was like,
well, that says a lot more. The Kyle Trask thing says a lot more about our defense, in my opinion.
I was like, wait a minute here now. Hold on.
But Connor Bazelak, who's an undrafted free agent in his first preseason action, looked better than both the Tennessee Titans.
I don't even know where he went to school. Is he
Bowling Green?
Mac school, I thought so.
There you go. Because that's what we were talking about on Friday.
I think I remember when they played UT, and UT, kind of got after him a little bit.
I'm sorry, but when you have on the opposite side an undrafted free agent rookie quarterback that looks better than both of your veterans, that should tell you everything. You need to reevaluate that room because that's not good, regardless of the situation, what they may do in the classroom or whatever like that. Like if Tim Boyle is going to go on to ESPN or Fox Sports, be the next Dan Orlovsky, that's great. But as of right now, you need guys that can play do both. You don't need just teachers and clipboard holders. You need someone that, hey, if Cam Ward goes down in the middle of a game, you need a guy that can step in and not make mistakes and not throw it away in the back of the end zone on 4th down with conviction, by the way.
Oh, my God. Just throw it up for grabs. Who cares?
I mean, he was determined to throw it out of that back of that end zone.
Oh, my.
I couldn't believe that that would be something a rookie would do.
That's why I said, where's the veteran? I mean, like, and then this is a guy you want to, in game, he pushed the panic button. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nah,
I'm sorry. Neither of these guys could be your quarterback too. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about some positives.
Where's Dobbs at, man? Winston, man. At least he hit the goalpost. Yeah. I mean, man, he at least would have threw it to somebody. Yeah. Maybe might have thrown it out of the end zone too.
When we come back, we'll talk about what we saw from Cam Ward, the offensive line, how much you could take away from their performance against Tampa Bay. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop, Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And Blaine, I know we've kind of opened the show maybe in a different way, talking about backup quarterbacks, because we actually have a real quarterback to talk about, and that is Cam Ward, who, despite what PFF may say,
what did they say?
They said that he has a lower PFF passing grade than Brandon Allen.
What?
Yeah. Just think about that for a second.
Oh, I've lost all faith in them now.
Not only that, there is a running back for the Buffalo Bills, because there's a Cover 1 is a Buffalo Bills fan site that I follow, and they do really excellent work. But they don't like PFF either. And they showed this running back who had 0 run blocking snaps, but a 76.2 run blocking grade. PFF grades mean nothing. If you get, and I've been saying this for a long time. I said one of our first shows was talking about how I just don't agree with PFF grades. That is insane to me that they would have Cam Ward with less of a PFF passing grade than Brandon Allen. That makes no sense. Because if you actually watch the tape, there's some learning that Cam Ward had to do.
Oh, yeah.
But my guy, when he was on fire, targeting Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, he had command of that offense. And I think there's even good stuff on the pass to Elikiah Manor that was almost intercepted. I still think there was some good stuff he did on that play. Some stuff he needs to fix, but some good stuff on that play. But overall, listen, it's 2 drives. It's a 3 and out, and I'm glad they went back out there and had a chance to go down and score a touchdown. Overall, your impressions of Cam Ward?
I would say it was just solid. You would have see a little bit more. As you know, I wanted to see more in the game. I get why I didn't play as much and weather and everything else, but I think that was the plan anyway, 1 or 2 series. I would have liked to see one more series to follow it up, see if he could do it again against the number 2s of the Bucks. But I thought he made some good solid throws. I didn't like how he threw it not out of bounds, but inbounds on the ground. Throw it out, pick a teammate and throw it to him over there. I thought he could have sat in the pocket more. Calvin Ridley was open on that play, wide open, by the way. He may not have seen him. When
a lot of people said Van Jefferson, but I was like, no, it's Calvin Ridley is the one that you should have gotten the ball to. And I think he even said that after, and both him and Callahan, I think, in their pressers, both said that they should have gone to Calvin Ridley.
Oh, okay. So, I could have been misspoken to myself, but watching the game, just trying to recall, I thought a grave mistake that could have just kind of ruined his whole entire day to me with the drop pick. Somebody with hands like mine's hit him dead in the hands. It was a cover 2 into the boundary. That's a no-no. He was going to, and you think he was throwing to Elikiah Manor. I do not. I think
he was throwing to Chig?
Yep, on the out. Yeah, because that guy, he will back around for cover 2. Chig needs to be Elikiah Manor needs to be faster and get out of there.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So
it's a flat. It's an out with a go. He got to go. He's got to be in a rush, even though he's not the target. So the read there is by the safety as you line up 3 yards inside number 2, which is Chig. At deep, 10 yards or so. Soon as 2 breaks out, you run to the sideline because you're going over the top of number 1. So he could never get that in there. In a boundary 2 where it's short, no way, no how. So I don't even know why he should have threw on the other side of the ball. He should have threw over there. Because that's where,
he audibled into that or did something.
Oh, did he? I don't know.
There was a lot of movement pre-snap, and he saw something. And so the reason I thought he was going all the way to
I know everybody was saying that.
Manor, but that's interesting.
That ball wasn't going to get there. He has to throw it up over the top. He tried to gunsling it side on boom. I'm like, oh man, that wasn't going to. He threw Chig over to the. It was too far out. I think he panicked. I don't know if they did something that he didn't see prematurely, like before pre-snap.
Well, because because I've had a bunch of conversations about this particular play with a bunch of different people, and a lot of people said, well, the hips open up on the cornerback that was on Ellick. You should have never thrown it over there.
Yep.
And his feet his base is parallel with the line of scrimmage when that ball comes out. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just mechanics because maybe he could have got there if he had better mechanics to Ellick. And I thought maybe Chig ran too deep of a route and maybe should have turned towards the sideline shallower. But your theory of maybe Ellick was just too slow, wasn't turning on the jets to clear it out. That also makes sense in the form of the route concept.
Yeah, because you can squeeze the ball in there. It's just not a choice that I would throw, but good quarterbacks can throw it to a spot.
Because he saw something he liked. Because he was doing all kinds of and that's one of the things that was my main takeaway. He recognized something pre-snap that he thought he liked and did a hot route or whatever he may have done. I don't know what signals he was actually calling, but he went into that because he immediately got the ball and immediately was looking over in that way, whether that's looking for Chig or looking for Ellick, he was looking for somebody, and his mechanics were a mess on it as far as being parallel. You never want to be parallel.
Feel like he was rushed. Like I think
he rushed it in his head. Do you think, or do you think he was actually felt rushed because the play wasn't developing the way he thought it was?
I think he thought the only way I can get in there is I get this ball out real fast and I can squeeze it in there and cover two. So I don't know what he's thinking. I don't like to think about what he's thinking. I wouldn't have thrown it over there. The windows are so much tighter.
So it's kind of like that Jair Alexander interception. You probably should have never thrown it to Jair Alexander. When you're Will Levis, remember you said, I would never throw it over there. But I guess maybe that's a terrible comparison.
No, because that was cover 3 and he sat on the ball. So that actually was a good. He just had to get it out there fast and that's to the field. But this was in the boundary where it's going to be tight in cover 2. It's just that I wouldn't have made that choice. If I was going to make a choice, I would throw it on the sideline to Ellick on the outside shoulder and make the safety have to make a heck of a play.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have, that's a tough one there. He had to throw it to a spot and Chig had to get there. So maybe Chig didn't run it exactly the way he wanted or didn't rush it because he saw what was going on. But I just think that was a bad decision. Now, it's a very teachable decision because it didn't hurt him because that could have been catastrophic. And that would have stopped that drive because that was inside the 25.
Yeah.
And that would have stopped that drive. So then he, kept going and then did a good job from there on out. There was nothing really outside of the pass and getting outside of the pocket too soon or early on the play through.
Which is also something that he recognized himself.
Yeah. So I think it was all
that felt
good.
like maybe
I felt like he felt
jitters.
real comfortable when they kind of opened up their offense. It could have just been in theory just how it looked on TV, but when they open up the offense and let him start being himself and get into a rhythm and a flow, he start throwing the ball, everything looked fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought
get rid of the ball. He had great protection too. Let me not say that O-line did a good job as far as protection. I thought, I don't know how many times he may have had some pressure, but it didn't feel like he had a lot of time back there against the twos of the Bucks. But hey, they still did a really good job.
Well, and then to be honest,
guys missing on their offensive line too.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Well, you're still talking about Corey Levin, who is a backup center, and Andrew Rupsich, who is a backup guard, and probably on most teams a very much closer to the practice squad guard than an actual number 2 guard. But those two guys were right there, and I will say this. I know a lot has been made, well, this is the number 2 of the Bucks. They dominated that number 2 of the Bucks, which is what you want to see. So now when you're talking about that...
The Titans dominated?
I think the Titans' offensive line dominated the number 2s of the Bucks.
Even on the 3 and out?
I thought that they provided enough on the 3 and out. Cam Ward got outside of the pocket.
Well,
in my opinion. I mean, that's how I viewed it.
Yeah,
I thought he bailed
domination mean that they would have drove down the first series.
Yeah, I think the offensive line dominated.
Right, they did their job.
Not the rest of not Cam Ward.
And the receivers.
Yeah, because... Well, I don't know. Calvin Ridley felt like he was out there dominating, but of course he also he was the only guy that had a penalty on the starting offense.
Well, he did once they started throwing to him. I mean, he's a special talent. But I wanted to see more out of Alec. I wanted to see more out of Jefferson. I saw what Lockett can be, and I think he's pretty consistent in his career. So he showed what he's always going to be, and they ran the football too a little bit or enough. So I wanted to, I just wanted to see more. I wanted to grasp them more.
Left you wanting more.
I wanted more. Just bring more excitement to at least that side of the ball. Defensively, they couldn't stop the run. That long drive there exhausted me. Wow. Nobody without Sweat and Simmons. Nobody stood out. I thought Williams had a lot of tackles. I thought they were okay. I thought he looked really good on special team. I thought Gray looked just as good. He just didn't get the number of tackles because I loved his leadership. He was getting everybody lined up.
With more tackles.
Oh, did he? He might have because
he played a little bit
I like
longer.
what I saw of both of those young linebackers inside. Femi disappeared to me, so I was a little disappointed in that. And then that was it. I don't even, some of those guys that play corner, I don't even know who they are. I mean, watching them practice, but I didn't see anything that was like, oh, this guy's going to probably make.
I mean,
make
the Bucs
team.
just treated Jalen Kimber like he was a ghost out there. He wasn't even he was a non-factor on that run defense. I mean, it was terrible. Like I know the Bucs ran for 170 yards. I think you could put 100 of them on Jalen Kimber taking the wrong angle or just standing there sometimes. Like it was bad. But going back to really just, I wanted to hit a point on the offensive line. A lot of people are like, the offensive line. And I'm like, well, we got to put it into perspective. The Bucs defensive line and pass rushing unit, they're not terrible. Chris Braswell and Anthony Nelson were both one of the top 10 pass rushers on their team last year. And they're not terrible. But they're also not the Denver Broncos. They're also not the LA Rams. So it's very hard to take what we saw with the offensive line and try to translate it into the regular season. That's a big stretch. But if we're talking about preseason last year versus preseason this year, or the preseason of the last years, and that offensive one unit, this unit came up and performed. But I would be very hesitant to have for anybody to take away extreme takeaways about this offensive line, because if you think Cam Ward's going to have a pocket like that every game,
he had a lot.
Then they're all pros.
It was one thing I saw. This kind of happened. It happens to guys when you're going against less talent players. J.C. Latham was getting out of there on his pass rush sets. And it almost left a gap where guy could undercut him because the guy wasn't a pure pass rusher because he was a 2. He wasn't an elite pass rusher. So he had to slow down his cadence on his drops to be effective and making sure he didn't let it be a gap there. So it was funny just seeing that because he was on point, but he was going against a guy who was less talented. So he had to slow himself down. So sometimes that happens when you're a starter and an elite athlete like that going against, a player that's a good player, just not on the level of an elite pass rusher. So I kind of saw that. I like what I saw out of him. But,
hard to have it. Listen, I'm always going to be happy that Cam Ward is not on the ground. And they did their job. They did. When we talk about, we knew that they were going to play for the 2s, and we wanted to see them kind of perform and look like a number 1 unit going up against a number 2 unit. And while it was shaky for Cam Ward at the very beginning, the second drive looked really good. Problem is, that is not how every drive is going to look as far as the clean pocket goes. So it's very hard for me to, I commend the offensive line. They went out there, they did their job. They didn't allow, that starting offensive line didn't allow a single pressure among them in those first 2 drives, which is good. But we got to remember who it's against and who they're going to face week 1 and week 2. Atlanta, I think, will provide you a little bit better test throughout the week at the joint practices, but also probably a little bit better at the game because I do think they have more explosive and younger pass rushers they're going to be coming and attacking because James Pierce has looked really good. So
yeah. So they're saying here going on the defensive side, we had a number 2 team versus the rush. I thought that's not true. The Titans last
season.
No, I think maybe like in the beginning of the first
week
2
1
games.
and week 2.
I don't remember where did they finish because they were definitely out of the top 10.
Yeah, this
eventually because it was the Commanders at the
they were the number 2 ranked defense in yards.
Number 2 ranked defense.
Guys, you have to remember that they were given short fields on lots of these. Yards is not. I know that this is how the NFL media world talks about defenses. Defenses should not be measured successfully by the yards that they allow because there's so much context that is missing from that in those situations. All the short fields and everything like that.
But what were they?
They were the
run?
number 26 rushing defense.
Run 26.
They were number 24 in yards per attempt allowed. They allowed 4.5 yards per attempt. They were 21st in yards. Now, they allowed the second least amount of pass yards.
Mm-hmm. That's because they could run.
Field.
But they also because he was a running ball.
I mean, we're talking about 300-something yards in a game against the Colts, right? And then 200 and something, I feel like, at the Commanders. So, like, we got to make sure that we have context. This was a defensive unit that, if you're looking at advanced stats, was probably 17th to 20th best in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to be that this year. I think this could be a really bad defense, and I'm not trying just to overreact to one preseason game, but this has been my feelings about this defense since they started the offseason and all the moves that they have made since. I just don't know if this defense is going to be as good as even last year. So you got to hope the offense and special teams can pick up the slack, because I just don't think they have the horses on defense right now.
Right. The offense definitely has much more potential and upside to be much more productive. I mean, if they can't stop the run, man, I would assume when Sweat and Simmons are out there, that won't happen, at least that big a number like that. They'll at least be in the middle of the road in the league, let's say 15 or so. But, I mean, it's just going to come to realization we have no double-digit sack players on the team.
And Femi, he may get there in year 3. But year 1, it was.
I saw one good rush.
Yeah, he had one good rush. He did a rip move on it, and it didn't amount to much, statistically. But that's what you want to see. But we're talking about one good play.
I saw him drop a couple times too.
Yeah, he dropped 3 times, and he dropped from the linebacker position, like right next. He was lined up right next to James Williams, Cody Barton on some of those plays. It may have been Cedric Gray in there too, but like he was lined up really close with his hands on his knees up in that kind of linebacker stance back there on some of those.
No, what I'm talking about is he lined up as a defensive end and dropped
I was about to say
coverage.
He did 1 or 2 off the defensive end too in coverage.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Listen, I have walked in with the expectation that I think this show has realized what Femi is and has been setting very level expectations about Femi Oladejo, where other people may be trying to make him out to be something he's not. Remember, I told you all I've heard are some good things from people who have been at practice, and I've never seen it, and I see more of what I see. He sets the edge, but I don't think he sets the edge correctly. I don't think even then he's just watching the play develop, go right by him, and not even attempt to try to feel like break free. Sometimes he just couldn't break free. Like I said, this O'Keefe guy, I don't know if this O'Keefe was a former wrestler or whatever, but he had him in like a torture chamber over there, like a Hell in a Cell wrestling move, putting sleeper holds on him.
He was holding him?
He wasn't even holding him. And there was one play, speaking of holding, where Femi Oladejo looks like he's being held and he's trying to get the play penalty called instead of just going through on the pass rush. Like, got to keep playing through it. If you get held, you get held, but you got to play through it, not kind of like slow down and try to hope you get the call by flailing your arms and looking at the ref. I once again, to me, the tape never screamed a second round edge rusher. And this preseason and this offseason so far, training camps I've been to, he has not looked like a second-round pass rusher. And today, or on the preseason game, he has not looked like a second-round pass rusher. I went and watched every play Sunday morning, and he has not looked like a second-round pass rusher. That does not mean he cannot turn into one, but we all have to understand and be honest with ourselves. This is a long road ahead for Femi Oladejo right now.
Man. I'm real curious on how he looks next preseason game than the final one. Man, there's a big growth that can happen there, and I've seen it happen with the Freak. So I'm hoping that happened. And when I say I'm hoping, I didn't see anything that made me feel like that there's a possibility. Because every rep is so valuable. And when I saw the Freak, every rep, he got better. It was obvious. You saw it coming. You just didn't matter when it was going to put it all together. And it happened the first game. Yeah. So, and back then there was 4 preseason games. So, you're just hoping that he can, with a little more experience at the position, that he gets incrementally better each game, just because you don't know in a preseason game, just like Cam Ward, his first go-round, you don't know what to expect because you don't know the speed of the game and how it's really going to be. And then even in the regular season. And so I would say Cam Ward passed the eyeball test and Femi did not.
Yep.
At this point in time. You don't know where direction they're going to go after this, but.
And he wasn't passing the test against just twos. He wasn't passing the test against their threes because they had a right guard that was actually playing right tackle for this game for whatever reason. And number 60 is their right guard on their depth chart that was playing right tackle, and it was not pretty. Besides Kokeeft, that guy had
was this in the second quarter?
Second quarter, I believe, yeah. I'll have to go back and look at the actual play itself, but not great. It's just.
Oh, come on.
You guys.
That's why I don't want to dig into the film too yet.
This is you don't want to go to the film. It will hurt your feelings. But this is what we all know what this pick was, and I don't mind. To me, a pick like this really does signal rebuild. But I also think there are better uses of your time because, to me, there were players still available, like Princely Umanimialian, who has production in college, experience at the position, and the athletic traits, and he's out there looking good. And maybe Kevin Winston will make up for it, right? Because they didn't have a third-round pick. They traded back, pick up a third-round pick. And maybe Kevin Winston will make up for the trade back because up at the top, you got JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State and some other guys that they passed on top of wide receivers that they passed on for Femi Oladejo by trading back.
Didn't they could have gotten Mike Green too? Or
they could have gotten. But Mike Green,
has some sketch on his resume.
Yeah,
I get it.
But he's looking pretty good for the Ravens. So
I think they identify pass rushers now. All field issues. I don't know if they too much care about those. As long as they stay out of trouble when they're on their team.
Yeah, we'll continue talking about the Tennessee Titans preseason game. Some takeaways maybe from some of the other rookies where they need to improve some of the players in depth. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. With the special teams, I thought it was really interesting to see them. You got to see really, I mean, you didn't get to hear it or anything, but you could see the extra
You can see the heights of it to the special teams.
Well, yeah, you can see. I'm trying to figure the best way to put it. Bones Fossil. I thought you could see the impact of him being on the sideline. They showed him on the Channel 2 broadcast, which was a train wreck, by the way. It was so bad. They misspelled Khalil Mullen's name and also said that he was 5'2" on one of their little graphics.
I saw the 5'2".
And that's the same point. Everybody's eyes are on the 5'2", but if you look over, they also misspelled his name in the same thing. They misspelled Burke Nihill's name, and they misspelled Brian Callahan's name. And then they showed no replay of any penalty whatsoever.
Jackson, did you send them those notes?
Yeah, that's my bad, guys.
I mean, it was. Listen,
What?
That
many?
Yes. 3 different, or at least technically 4 different errors, but 3 different times. And they don't show any replays of any penalties or plays and like all this stuff. Like, that's just a whole nother gripe I have right now. Like, get it together, people. I mean, we got to see a replay of a penalty. We want to know what the penalty was because they weren't even getting the penalties right. They kept changing the names of the penalties on the little yellow graphic constantly. It was bad.
Well, let's go back to special teams. How did you feel about the punting and the kicking? Before we get into the coverage.
I thought there was one really good punt that I liked where they kind of pinned him right there between the sideline and the player. But let me tell you something. Bryce Oliver, oh boy, he was down there ready on every coverage unit, on those punt coverage units. He was right there. I mean, he blew past his guy like that guy wasn't even there, was ready to make a play. He was down there so quick, it was crazy.
On one of the down balls, some other guy was acting like he was going to down it. He pushed his own teammate, like, nope, I was down here. I'm down in this ball. That's the guy you want there, Jackson. He's a lock.
Yeah.
I
thought James Williams, you've already alluded to it, but James Williams, and they mentioned it a couple of different times. Tone setter.
Ooh.
He's a tone setter. Ooh. He is flying down there. Cedric Gray's right behind him, too, on a couple of those plays on special teams and stuff.
And Mike Brown, he kind of stood out on the special teams. So they got a few guys.
I thought this was a special teams coverage unit, and even the return unit in the little bit, we saw Jaquan Jackson make smart plays. He actually, instead of bringing it out of the end zone, kneeled it in the end zone. I was like, people will underestimate how good that play is, but that shows growth from Jaquan Jackson because last year he would have brought that sucker out.
Yeah, because I would have brought it out too. Because I'd be like, I'm going to get cut anyway, so why? I was like, hey, man, how am I sure what I got, man? And I'm returning it, man.
Yeah.
But no, I got you. You're right.
But, I mean, that shows growth, and there were a couple different plays where you see Bones Fossil coaching and talking and huddling around. That guy's always moving. Yeah. And I think that's a big infectious energy that has translated to the players. They seem to be more decisive, more confident, and more explosive. I mean, I do think that special teams is going to look good on these coverages. Now, Johnny Hecker, I would say, had a very up and down night a little bit. I thought
Did he shank one?
I feel like he shanked one, and then
but he got a nice roll, right?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a nice roll.
Was I get that right?
He had, to me, a really good directional punt. And I think that's what
he's known for.
That's what they're wanting.
Yeah.
So, to me, I think there was a lot of good to take away from the special teams. And I know that we talked about it in the pregame show, how we haven't really talked a lot about it. But if that was something that you were watching, you should walk away feeling pretty good. Because most of those guys that are playing special teams in the preseason are going to be the guys that you see playing special teams in the regular season. For the most part, I mean, we saw Bryce Oliver all night long on special teams, and I know he's going to be playing special teams there. James Prochet was looking decisive, quick, fast. I mean,
that's going to be an interesting decision.
I thought Chimere Dike had a nice return too at one point. And so there's a lot to take away and a lot to like about the special teams unit. But I think we're starting to see how this back half of the roster is going to shape up because these guys on special teams, the three guys we just mentioned, and Jaquan Jackson, they all play the same position. That's wide receiver.
I was a little disappointed. I didn't get to see Restrepo play do a return.
He had one special team snap.
Oh, I stopped watching after they threw it out of the back of the end zone.
He was Tim Boyle's favorite Titans target.
Yeah.
If you don't count
was
the
he?
Bucks players.
So what did he do on the return?
Let's see. Xavier Restrepo. I don't think he returned anything. I think he. I'm trying to find his name on this list. But
He only played like 11 plays or something.
yeah, he played 11 plays on offense, and he played one on special teams, and that was a punt return. But I don't think he was the one returning the punt.
Oh.
We've been warning you. We've been trying to tell everybody.
I don't know.
Keep those expectations
What do you
low.
think, Jackson? What we're supposed to take from that?
It's not
You're
looking
level-headed.
good. Not looking good.
It's not looking good for Josh Wiley either.
Hey.
The Wiley Hive. Had to get my shot in on the Wiley Hive.
Wiley.
President of the Wiley fan club back there. But yeah, it is.
Jackson was a Wiley fan club?
Yeah.
Oh, you
So
were?
James Prochet had a kickoff return for 21
Hard to get 'em all
yards.
right, man.
He had a punt return that was called back, unfortunately.
Okay.
And that was like a 30-yard return, I think.
I saw that.
TJ Sheffield had 2 returns on kickoffs for 54 yards.
Independence.
Chimray DK had 1 for 32. His kickoff return was pretty good. And then you have Matt Landers and Jaquan Jackson with 22, 23. I thought the Matt Landers one was pretty unique because we were kind of talking about body type and stuff, and it was towards the end of the game. And I wonder if they specifically put it, and I posed this question, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I posed this question to Stoney while we were watching the game. I said, I wonder if they put Matt Landers in there to maybe bowl over some like third or fourth stringers, try to get him in a better field position, utilize his size and athleticism. Or because I hadn't seen Matt Landers do a punt or kick return in practice. So this was like a random one that I hadn't noticed yet. I don't know if that was just a special occasion or if that was like, hey, let's just see what we got. It's like one of those preseason things, like, yeah, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I think I would lean into that more just to see what happens, just in case he ends up being on the roster or maybe even on the practice squad, just to see if he can bring more value. I don't know if it's just because he is a pretty tall, player at receiver. Most of those guys aren't typically good returners, because they're too big of a target,
right?
And then so usually those guys aren't punt or kick returners. So for him to get out there, and I thought he did a real good job on that return. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I
was like, "Whoa, that's Matt Landers."
I was thoroughly impressed. Like, dang! I mean, man, I'd be slobbering if I get to hit a guy like that. That's a big target there, man. Yeah, I would have been slobbering just like Jackson.
Right, when we come back, we'll go to your phone. 615-737-1045 is the number. We got James, who we'll get to when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone.
Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you, I'll be ready at 4 p.m., and it's not. People are really tired of that stuff. So if you've had it with the unreliable vehicle repair shops, come on over to Eurofix. And Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. And Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's really ready, so you don't have to stand around and wait all freaking day. And Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beat the dealer and without the dealer pricing. And that's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of the dealership's overhead. And as you know, that's a lot of money. So why would you want to pay for that? Well, a Eurofix Reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty and on the work performed, plus a rental car available with every repair appointment. So if you're tired of the unreliable repair shops, come on over to Reliable, and that would be Eurofix, family owned for over a quarter century. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But I always tell them, Blaine said you.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Tell us what you took away from this Tennessee Titans preseason game. Things you liked, things you didn't like, things you thought were just okay. We want to hear all about that. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to James, who wants to talk about Brian Callahan. James, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
What's going on, guys? First-time caller, long-time listener. Listen, I was just wondering, did the coach have any confidence in his field goal kicker? He had the opportunity to show him to us, and he decided to go for it. I was just wondering, what was that situation about?
All right, appreciate it. I guess I would look at my button stuck. There we go. All right, I guess I would look at it this way. He probably just wants to see more out of the offensive skill players than he does out of his kicker that's been in the league for a few years. I mean, is that how you would take it?
I don't think it had anything to do with the kickers. I mean, yeah, I think, you just want to kind of see your team, in adverse conditions, see what they can do on a fourth down. You have nothing to lose in the game, really, besides, we could have had 3 points, most likely. So, yeah, I think he was just trying to, put his team under the most pressure and see how they respond.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Jackson?
I agree. I think, you know what Joey Sly is in this league, and there's no point throwing him out there in a meaningless game if it's a fourth down that you would potentially go for in the regular season when you need it.
There you go. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the overall execution as far as, the play calls getting in, the setting up, the penalties and all that kind of stuff? How did you think the team looked doing that?
Well, I wasn't watching the shot clock, so I'm not. I call it shot clock, but I wasn't watching the play clock there as far as the countdown on the TV screen. But I think they only had one false start, right?
Yeah,
on offense and then one on defense. So I thought the operation was. I didn't see any issue with me. Yeah, as far as I couldn't really tell. You can only tell if you're down there kind of paying attention to the quarterback is looking up at the clock. I didn't see it with Cam Ward, and that's where I was really paying attention. Yeah. I don't know if it happened with the second and third stringers. Did you guys see? I didn't see it.
It didn't seem like it. There is a little bit.
I'm sure.
I guess
was
the Brandon Allen and the thing,
headset.
So that went a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. But it felt like the tempo was good. It felt like getting in and out of the huddles was pretty good. Like the whole operation, at least from the first string perspective, looked pretty good.
Yeah,
as the game got on. And the field probably got a little bit sloppier. So did the play. The play got a little bit sloppier. Penalties as far as first-team offense, only Calvin Ridley on, I guess they called him for offensive pass interference on a pick play. I want to talk about, though, that was on a first down. That would have been a first down if that penalty hadn't been. So they got backed up to 1st and 20.
Because that was like a screen to lock it, right?
Yeah. And they got back up to 1st and 20. And guess what happened? 10 yards on that play through the air on 1st and 10. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, last year, this team had a real hard time overcoming a 1st and 20. And boom, right out of the gate, you're at 2nd and 10. And they ended up converting that series, obviously, because they went to and scored a touchdown on that same drive where that penalty occurred. But they overcame a penalty. They overcame a 3 and out. Now, they didn't, after Cam Ward and them left, you couldn't overcome anything after Cam Ward and them left.
Right.
But when you're talking about that first string offense, I thought the stuff that you wanted to see that are kind of those intangibles, I guess, the not letting a penalty just take the win completely out of your sails like we have seen in years past. I thought they did a good job of the bounce back, and it did a good job of overcoming that 3 and out, too.
Yeah. I didn't see any issues with clock management really that stood out, especially when Cam was out there. And that's when I was paying the most attention. He seemed like he was very efficient in there by how he operates. And so, because they were showing the high view of him, you could actually like kind of see him kind of calling the play. So that was pretty cool. I kind of like that view and then getting in and out. So, so that means he was getting the plays in there early enough where he could at least get up there and say it may have been a time or two, but like I said, it was nothing that was picky. I mean, naturally you hope in the second season as your head coach that you improve in all facets, and I'm hoping that continues in the regular season.
That's true. Let's go to Tony, who wants to talk about tempo. Tony, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, guys. Appreciate you taking my call today.
Thank you.
Yeah, just like to say, I think Cam did fine with the tempo. I'm a guy that watches the so-called shot clock, as my man Blaine likes to call the game clock. Probably got in and out of the huddle really good with the guys. Also, a few notations. Nobody's really saying it about today. He threw one pick. The guy just didn't catch it in the flat.
Right.
That 5 for 8. The yards were great. I thought his presence on the field was strong. Good leadership character, the way he carried himself. And like I said, didn't get too frustrated. They didn't make mention of it on the broadcast, but on the first series, the second down pass to I think it was Van Jefferson that kind of got knocked away. When they went back to the huddle, nobody made mention of it, but he kind of got up in Van a little bit, tapped on the helmet, like you hear him say, you can read his lips. He's like, "Come on, man, we got to have that out of you," and hit him on the back of the helmet. And that right there showed me, that it's his huddle. And I think he did good for a first game preseason. Of course, he got overshadowed by Shador some, but we're not in Cleveland, and I hope Shador has a great career.
Thanks, Tony. I did think there was some other stuff. The Van Jefferson comment that he was talking about, we'll get to in just a sec, but it reminded me just real quick when Davion Ross, University of Memphis legend, Davion Ross, peanut punched that ball out, and they had the big scrum and everything. Mm-hmm. Did you notice Cam Ward was on the field while the refs were still pulling guys off, checking to see if they got it or not?
Oh, yeah, I saw.
I thought that, I know that's maybe a little bit silly, but that just kind of I like that he was kind of out there trying to cheer on the defense, get the defense out on the field, feels like he was trying to be part of the team, even though he hadn't been, playing the game for like two quarters or whenever it was.
Yeah, I just want him to stay on the sideline.
Oh, so you want him to stay on the sideline?
Nah, cheer, but just don't come on to the field.
Gotcha.
Yeah, don't go to the field.
Gotcha.
You're not supposed to.
Could that have been a penalty?
I don't know. That's why I said
that. Gotcha.
I don't know.
Maybe that's your...
I don't know. That's why I said do it from the sideline.
Yeah.
You can run all the way down there and be right in the mix right there on the sideline.
Yeah.
Just got to be careful. I get he's all emotional, all into his team. Hey, I'm all for all of that.
You don't want to be CD Lamb and then get creamed by the ref because you're in that one box.
So that's why I'm saying that. But I love how he's all into it. It's eventually going to be his team. So
yeah, he was all over the field too. Any kind of sideline shots always felt like he was talking to a different player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wasn't the guy sitting down on the bench or sitting over there just waiting for the game to be over. He was very active over there on that sideline.
I think he's a guy they gravitate to anyway.
Right.
Different players from Prochet to Calvin Ridley. I mean, it was guys at all levels, even guys who doesn't even work with him a lot. So as far as receivers, so he's just that kind of guy.
What you got, Jackson?
And he kept his pads on, which was interesting to me. The whole game. A lot of guys, that weren't playing after that first couple of series, like Calvin Ridley or other guys, obviously they're going to be in street clothes in the second half. Cam stayed full uniform the whole game.
Anything to read off that?
No, it takes a lot to take those pads off. It's exhausting.
I will say, I loved just what I've seen from Cam Ward, and I can't get over it. And this stuff we've all talked about through training camp and mini camp, the stuff he says in press conferences and everything. But this, I will repeat it again. This probably won't be the last time they hear me say it. He's got that it factor. Like, you just can't help. That dude is a quarterback. And that, to me, just could change everything for the outcome of this team.
Yeah. Well, man, depth is an issue.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. He ain't going to be able to walk on water and make the depth pieces on defense be good. And this offense, we'll see. You saw, I think, this weekend, Elikiah Manor and Chimere DK kind of go through a little bit more of a growing pain than maybe Jackson Slater, Khalil Mullins, and Cam Ward did. I think you kind of saw that, Elikiah Manor, maybe the speed is a little bit of an issue, right? I mean, he got targeted 3 times, 0 receptions. Chimere DK was 1 for 2 for 6 yards, but they played a considerable amount of snaps.
And they were even out there with Cam Ward?
And they were out there with Cam Ward, and there was still, you kind of brought it up to the attention to that maybe on that one play where it was an almost interception to the left side of the field on that sidelines, that maybe Elikiah Manor wasn't fast enough to do his clear route, or maybe he just wasn't doing what he needed to do in the moment to help free up Chigakonkwo or take an extra defender with him. But I will say that, Elkai Manor, since the pads have came on, one or two good days, and one of those good days was with Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Tyrek Funderburton. Or Funderburk.
Funderburk, yeah.
Yeah, Funderburk.
He made some plays out there, too.
He did. It was funny to see Funderburk out there, get his revenge, I guess, while he's out there. But those guys got to get felt in some form or fashion throughout this preseason. Listen, they're fourth-round rookies, but, hey, Gunnar Helm looked pretty good out there. He laid a couple blocks, got a couple receptions. And I do want to talk about Khalil Mullins because Tajay Spears has gone down with injury. Khalil Mullins may have a bigger role. We'll see. We'll talk about that. We'll also go to Michael and take your phone call. 615-737-1045 is the number. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone.
Let's talk insurance. King and Associates Insurance, by the way. And they're independent agents that make a big difference. But it goes beyond just having multiple companies to shop, weeding out the non-competitive companies, and keeping a great relationships with the biggest and the best, along with bundling. But unfortunately, life happens and they get it. Here's a true story about my friend and coworker that switched from a previous independent agent and got better coverage on his home and its contents, even his automobiles. And there were flawless communication and true champion in the corner after his 16-year-old daughter had an accident, and they saved him thousands and thousands from an independent agent who was overcharging him for years. So you can make a switch and save the same, if not more. But don't make the switch because he did or I did. Switch because you should. And as a business, family, or individual, make the switch to King and Associates Insurance. And I'm sure you'll have good use for that extra dough money, by the way, that you'll save. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 615-321-8121. That's 321-8121, or check them out online at tkinginsurance.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Over on Twitter, at Blaine and Zach, we're putting out a poll question as we speak. It may already be out.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we are asking you, what is what would you say? The biggest
the most need or help after preseason game
which
one.
position needs the most help?
Mm-hmm.
Backup quarterback, edge rusher, backup cornerback, backup running back, because Tajay Spears went down. But before we give you our answers, talk to that, let's go to the phone, 615-737-1045. Let's go to Michael, who wants to talk about the quarterback position. Michael, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good.
All right. Listen, I'm looking at the Titans, and I'm looking at the quarterback position. I think the Titans are going to make the same mistake by starting this boy. I think he should be on the bench, maybe for the 4 or 5 games to see the game from the other side. Now, what we need an edge rush. I'm not convinced with the front line. Why don't you put him out there knowing that the front line is not proven? I just can't see him doing that. I would say put him on the bench for 4 or 5 games. Go find you an edge rusher. And your defense looks awful, so weak. I couldn't believe it that they drafted this year, and the defense look as bad as they do. I'll listen. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Michael. I mean, I don't think that they have any other option to put Cam Ward out there, but I feel like he's ready. And I feel like this offensive line is good enough to help him be ready.
Yeah, I thought the offensive line, even though they're going against twos, look formidable, and they were out without 2 guys, starters too as well. Cam Ward's the best quarterback and the best option right now. There are no other options to start. That, Levis is not on there, so you could kind of consider that, but this is not the time or the place. He's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
So they got to get him up to speed. He's got to develop with these guys. That's why they brought in these, offensive line, moved Latham to right tackle. Now they have a formidable offensive line. As far as the pass rushing, man, I'm really concerned. I was concerned before, but that will be my answer is edge.
Yeah,
because it just man, you can't win in this league without putting any pressure on the quarterback. These guys are way too good, man. I just can't believe they think that this is going to be the answer. If Femi doesn't continue to get better each and every game before the regular season starts, I mean, he's got to be up and revving to go week 1. I know
I'm laughing. I know
some of the stuff that I'm seeing out of him, it's just he's instinctively still a linebacker, and it's not clicking in live game. Now, that was the first game, but I wanted to see some flashes, and I didn't see any flashes. Like, we saw flashes with Cam Moore, first pick, Femi the 2. Number 2 pick, second round pick has to be contributing to an extent where you say, okay, I see in another 2 or 3 years this guy's going to be really good. Maybe even the next year. Developmental player, man.
And listen, we've been talking about this since April, as Dixie pointed out. Maybe people are tired of us talking about the pass rush, but I just don't think you guys realize how bad
you can't win in this league. I mean, just go down the top 10 teams, and then how many sacks they teams have. If not, they have some high potent offense with a great quarterback.
Yeah,
like we're not there yet, and it just. I want to be competitive in every game, and you want to think you got a shot at winning every game. And I guarantee you every player on that team believes that.
Yeah.
And, so you got to give your best shot. And I'm just seeing some holes here, even at corner. I'm not real comfortable where we're at there either, to be honest. I know we got McQuarrie and some guys, Bronley, but, man, Baker, but right there, that's a little bit of shakiness, and I can deal with that. But then after that, I don't know.
Oof. What you got, Jackson?
Back to the sitting Cam Ward for 4 or 5 games. So, how much worse of a situation are you putting Cam Ward in when he starts out on a team at 0-0 than when he starts out the same team with 0-5? Because I don't see a way that Tim Boyle or Brandon Allen beat the Broncos, Rams, maybe the Colts, Texans, and Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I I just don't see the benefit in this particular situation, this particular moment. If they had a different backup quarterback situation or did a kind of like New York Giants, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Jackson Dart kind of thing, maybe I would feel a little bit differently. Probably not because of what I've seen from Cam Ward in practices. He just seems like a guy that isn't afraid of the big moment and isn't going to shy away from starting that week 1 game.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Ward's the best quarterback on the team. I mean, it's not even close. So it's a big gap. I mean, we saw it. And so, I mean, I don't know how you can say that we should sit him at this point. He gives you the best option to win, even as a young quarterback that's not even played an NFL game compared to the other 2 quarterbacks.
Yep.
It's just a gap there.
Because you could see them go against the same players. Because when Brandon Allen went and a lot of the Bucs 2s were still in there that Cam Ward played against, so you could see the immediate drop-off in play quality the second Brandon Allen went into the game.
Yes. I think that is a very nice way to put it.
That was the nicest way I could think. And then when Tim Boyle went in, it was like lighting the dumpster on fire.
Yeah, I'm taking notes, so that was good.
Yeah, it was good. Let's go to Rick, who wants to talk about the Edge group. Rick, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Yeah, guys, thanks for taking my call. And Blaine, if I already know the answer to this, just listening to you, but if you were the GM today, would you be out shopping for and willing to spend some big money on getting an edge rusher? And I'll preface that by saying, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to be in many games without one because we'll be putting too much pressure on the quarterback by always being behind. And so your thoughts on that, buddy. If you could pull the trigger, would you go ahead and say, give me this guy right now?
Well, who do you have in mind? Anybody?
Well, I think some of the guys that you'd love to get, you probably don't have a shot at, like Parsons, and then, the guy that Cincinnati can't seem to make a deal with, or maybe they have by now. Mm-hmm. But, I don't really know, Blaine. I don't know of some of the quality guys that you'd be willing to spend money on.
Yeah, valid question there. I think
Thanks, Rick.
I think the Titans made that decision in free agency and the draft. I think that decision's already passed. It's too late in the game to get an elite player. Now, you can give a ransom for Parsons.
Yeah.
I mean,
same with Trey Hendrickson.
I just wouldn't do that at this point. They made a decision they're going to go and draft Femi and then do it by veteran committee type, and I just think that wasn't enough. I said it then. I just don't think it's enough.
It never. I don't think any of us on this show ever wavered in that what they did was enough.
Yeah,
I understand their plan.
Yes,
I wouldn't have made that same approach, and ultimately, maybe that's what Rick is also asking: is like, would you have made the same approach that Brinker and Bergonzi did? Absolutely not.
No.
I absolutely would have done things way differently. Does that mean that I'm going to trade 3 firsts, a second, and a fourth or whatever to get Micah Parsons? Probably not. Does that mean that I'd be willing to entertain at least kicking the tires on Trey Hendrickson and giving him 2 or 3 years? Maybe I would. Maybe that's a better trade for the Tennessee Titans. Does that mean that I would go out there right now and spend $10 million on Zadarius Smith if he came over and played for this team? I would have done that in free agency. They're not going to, but I would have. But they're not going to. And I think that is the issue, is that you still have guys like Matt Judon are out there. I know people are into Preston Smith. He really doesn't change anything for this team, but like Matt Judon, maybe there's something still left there. Maybe it was just a bad fit in Atlanta. You still have Jadeveon Clowney. You have Zadarius Smith. I mean, DeMarcus Walker. I think he was a pretty good guy when he was here with the Tennessee Titans.
Especially if you can get him for cheap. I may consider him. I think because that's what they're thinking. So, you may end up getting your big-time pass rusher in next year's draft.
Yeah. And listen, not only do they need a pass rusher in next year's draft, they still need 2 more pass rushers on top of him, because the only person still under contract next year is Femi Oladejo and Jalen Harrell.
Oh, that's right. Key is up.
Last year of his contract. Draymond Jones, 1 year contract. Ali Gay, 1-year contract.
Oh, they're gonna have to draft two pass rushers then.
They may need to draft like 5.
Just a whole draft
because
of
I
pass
can't
rushers.
trust them to evaluate pass rushers.
Oh, man.
They need to have as many many dart throws possible at edge rusher at this point in time.
Man. You know, most teams aren't going to let pass rushers, left tackle, get out there in free agency because they're not going to play a boatload. And so, that's just, because once you're
at
out
the
there,
point where
you're going to be
gonna
like the
have to-
Titans had to overpay for Moore Jr. He's
I
a
was
good
just about
player.
to say that.
But he's not that. He's not whatever they gave him.
You're going to be put in a position that you're overpaying for Remember when they went and paid for Jadeveon Clowney? You're almost paying for that kind of a guy back, but hopefully he maybe turns out better than that. But you're paying premium price for average play. Is what the position that they're in right now, unless they are able to draft, develop, and retain. And I was telling you that Aaron Schatz, who does the Football Almanac, who has worked for numerous companies, but most recently, he's the father of the DVOA metric. Mm-hmm. And he predicts that over the first 5 seasons of Femi Oladejo's career,
Right, don't tell us the answer. Have Jackson guess.
Jackson, what do you think the answer is?
The answer to what question?
Total sacks that his sack seer score predicts, their model predicts that Femi Oladejo will have over the first 5 years. A total number of sacks.
I'm going to say 26.
12.3 sacks.
That's really, really bad.
That is terrible.
That's 2 sacks a year.
How does he come up with this stuff?
I don't know. It's pretty. I mean, I'll have to go and research some maybe more of his sacks here, see how good of a hit rate it was, but I'm sure he wouldn't publish it if it didn't have a good hit rate.
Is there any comparison to players drafted around him in the edge position?
I only have the Titans chapter printed because that was the only one that I really cared about, but I will go and check other ones.
Where was Green taken?
Green was taken 10 spots after. Was he even 10 spots after? It may have even been less
We'll
than
look
that.
him up.
But yeah, I'll check the Football Almanac, see what maybe he had put for other rookies and stuff. But like first 5 years of projection of 12.3. And listen.
Is that per year?
No. You wish it was per year. I wish it was per year. Total. I mean, I just like, and I hate piling on, or I guess we're not really piling on, just being realistic about a player. But this is why I was so against this pick initially, even before they drafted him. If you guys remember, when we did our edge rusher show, specifically talk about the edge rusher prospects, I was like, I would not draft this guy.
Well, I thought he was more a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, and that's where you landed. You landed on 3rd-round pick. I'd been like, I'm more day 3. So I look at this and say that, I'm just, this pass rush, this was a terrible approach, in my opinion. And this was something that, and I think the Tennessee Titans have approached poorly their edge rushing group for a long time. Now, John Robinson made strides to try to correct that, but he constantly made incorrect moves. He tried to get Vic Beasley and try to buy his way into it. He kind of ignored drafting. Outside of Harold Landry, that was the best edge rusher he drafted, and we know that he's a B-plus player.
Quadruple zero.
Yeah.
Kevin Dodd.
But like, I'm just looking at it.
He
and
was
I'm
a great college player.
Yeah.
He was at Clemson, right? I was like, oh man, he's going to be
He
solid.
lived off of that playoff run
against Alabama.
Yeah, he lived off that one.
Yeah, because he had 2 or 3 sacks or so.
And that's what everybody was talking about, and everybody talked themselves into it. I'm like,
man, I had to give him a nickname, Quadruple Zero.
Yeah.
That was DODD. Wow, for zero. He was a zero. Man, I don't even know if he was passionate about football.
Go back and look at again, we're talking about depth, and it has to go back to John Robinson and the way that he handled roster construction. But they weren't a team that invested in edge group outside of really Harold Landry, even though they needed to almost every year. And to me, you find your pass rushers in the draft. And I hope that Femi turns into, like kind of what you say, a guy that switched positions, that's going to be a little rough around the edges, but he can find his way to some sacks and all this kind of stuff, kind of like what Javon Curse did. But he's no Javon Curse right now, that's for sure.
I don't see the get off. Like, man, that should be his. That should be the easy part for him, and just be speed at this point in time because he's just raw. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And remember, he had a great combine score. If I can recall on the get off, like, oh man, man, maybe he was just a little exhausted from playing a lot of reps and special teams and D line. I don't know, man. I want to see drastic moves forward here the next game. This Falcons. And we'll get to see. Remember, I told you Pierce looked like a pass rusher for the NFL. Some guys' game is built a little bit better for the NFL than college and vice versa. It was like I thought Joe Milton would be a better player probably than Hooker because his this arm talent. Now, mentally, I thought Hooker was the better player because he could make quick decisions. So there's certain caveats to each position that can make you successful. You don't have to have – there is no perfect player. So, you try to lean into their strengths. So, man, this one here, if this guy, Femi, doesn't work out in the next couple years, man, I think we'll be a little perturbed. Like, man. And they got to – and then all these guys are free agents after this year, so they're going to have to draft one. They're going to have to draft at least 2 next year.
The approach to the edge position has just been a weird blind spot, kind of like wide receiver for a long time too. Wow. Is like they would either go cheap or go for the old veterans that have been cast-offs from other teams, and the one guy that they had and they developed, they traded for traded, and then they drafted Treylon Burks, and like you hope that these blind spots somehow start, not becoming an issue, but this edge rusher thing seems to be a lingering issue even under this new regime with our third GM over I guess since 2015. Now,
to the credit, you can't fix everything in one off season, but their approach, as you keep bringing up, was Femi a transitional player, let's say from linebacker to pass rusher who did that through the season. Got to give him credit for that. He ended up doing solid, but man, the NFL transition, that's a big step. And, boy, they better hope that gamble pays dividends sooner than later. I just don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm not out there working with them on a daily basis, seeing them every day. So I don't know how much progression he's made.
They all said that he's ahead of schedule, and I'm like, I don't know what schedule you guys are running on.
Well, there's a lot of positive. Yeah. But we all know I'm all about that action, boss. And the action tell me that it ain't on track right now. Nah, we should have saw better. And these guys, didn't you say he went against a guard?
Yeah, guard that was playing tackle, according to the Tampa Bay depth chart.
Yeah, man.
Number 60 was a guard that was playing tackle. So I was like, that can't be number 60. He's a guard. What's he doing out at tackle?
Well, maybe he played tackle.
Maybe he's a both, but like,
I don't know. So, yeah.
Speaking of that, did you see how bad Dylan Radins was getting burned on Twitter last night? They put him at right and left tackle, Blaine, down in the Saints, and everybody's screaming, cut him. Why are you guys keep trying him at tackle? Because he's getting his quarterbacks murdered. They're not even putting him at guard, which is clearly where he fit best. You have actual tapes, New Orleans Saints. What are you doing?
Well, you want to talk about directionless leadership at a franchise.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. When we come back, we'll wrap up our talk about the preseason football game, because I do want to talk about Khalil Mullins just real quick in the running game. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and guys, we spend so much time focusing on external wins like jobs, fitness, and success. But what about your internal performance? Your sexual health is just as important. And at Edge Peptide Therapy, they go beyond Band-Aids and blue pills, gentlemen. Their treatments are designed to fix what actually is causing the issue, whether it's the low T, poor circulation, or stress. And listen, this isn't just for men with ED. If you're doing fine but Want more stamina, more desire, more intensity? Edge can help you level up. Real medicine, real results. Get back to feeling like the alpha version you are and go to edgepeptide.com. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com and see what they can do for you.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store, 615-737-1045. Where do you think the Titans need the most help after preseason game 1? This is over on at Blaine and Zach over on X. Backup quarterback, 29%. Backup running back, 5%. Edge, 55%. And backup cornerback, 11%. Daniel Mode says 1 edge, 2 cornerback depth, 3 backup quarterback, and I guess he's not worried about running back. Kenneth at Texas Sports 1015 says edge, edge, edge. Just saying said Trask had all day. Edge is the biggest need. And at Bunker Titan says edge, corner, running back. We don't need a better backup quarterback if he isn't going to play. Which that is the hope. That is the hope. Let's go to Toby. 615-737-1045 is his number. Let's go to Toby. He wants to talk about the edge group. Toby, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Hey, thanks, Zach. Hitman, what's going on, dude? How are you?
What's happening, Toby?
Hey, just living life, guys. I got a question. Don't pretend to know more than the All-Pro, obviously, but do you think Sweat and Simmons not being out there, as well as Snead, I know Snead's not going to affect the pass rush, but you throw Femi in there next to Sweat and Simmons, and that makes his job a whole lot easier. So I think what we might be seeing is just a little bit of lack of production all around, not just at the edge. But I think Femi's got a long way to go, but having Sweat and Simmons there will definitely help that effort. Thoughts?
I'll leave it to you on that one. I mean, there was no Jeffrey Simmons. There was no Tavondre Sweat up the middle. Sebastian Joseph Day didn't play a whole lot, but he was out there. How much of that could affect what we saw from Femi? Because, again, I go back to I feel like, yes, some of that can affect things, but there's also you can watch players in a vacuum. It's like, how can we evaluate Will Levis when we have a bad offensive line? Like, well, there's certain things the quarterback has to do every play.
Right.
So I just didn't see that from Femi, and I don't know if things change if Tavondre Sweat and Big Jeff are out there.
Well, I would say to the caller's point, though, D tackle's not playing and Simmons and Sweat kind of affect the run game. I don't know how much it really affected the pass game. And when I say that, I'm talking about more from the outside. And I was just looking at Femi as an individual when he had to go in the pass rush because that's where they need the most help. His run support I thought was okay, but I want to see him get around that corner. Being a guy of his stature and ilk and how he's built, I just thought he would be quicker off the ball and at least be an effective pass rusher even at this point, just on speed alone, especially going against the twos that Tampa Bay played with. So I didn't see it yet. I'm calling as I see it. I think potentially it could be there, but right now he is not there. That's why I use Freak as an example. He got better each and every week, but pass rush wasn't really the issue for him. I didn't put that out. The really issue was playing the run because he was kind of light in the pants, and especially when they tight end and tackle double down on him. I mean, he was getting pushed into the linebacker, sometimes secondary, and we talking about from practice to even in games. And we saw that progressively get better. His pass rush. He was just, super freakish as far as speed, and his get-off was incredible. Femi's nowhere near that. But I was just referencing development.
Yeah.
So you want to see gradual development. And I wanted to even see it in game, rep by rep. And I did see one rush that I saw him just try to go around a corner and just push the corner. I just didn't see the foot speed. He did do that one time and kind of effectively got rushed, but it was not, it wasn't, he wasn't by the quarterback. He would have reached his arm out. Maybe he could have touched him, maybe. Other than that, I didn't.
And there was one run play when they were on the goal line.
He did okay.
And I thought he did really well on one of those plays. Well, in the other place, he became an easy non-factor. And sometimes that's easy to do, even if the play's coming to your way, because you got extra blockers on you and stuff like that. But this is supposed to be a guy that is a second-round pick. I just, I didn't really see much to really latch on to. Right. But other than the only thing that's keeping me, I guess, from going overboard on it is the fact that I knew that he was a raw prospect. This is a new position for him. I think the road is a lot longer than people were willing to admit. But I will say one rookie, let's try to end on a positive note here. One rookie who I thought did get better as the game progressed, who was productive, was Khalil Mullins. And I thought that at the very beginning, you could see that there was a little bit of hesitation. I'm trying to make a play. And you could see the stutter step and see him not hit holes and get vertical like he should. And then as the game progressed, he started just going north-south. I'm just going to run. And he ended up having a few broken tackles. He ended up getting a lot of yards after contact. I think he was at a qualified runners. He was in the top 5 in yards after contact per attempt. He was in the top 7 in yards per attempt. Had a very good outing, and with Tyjae Spears unfortunately suffering an ankle injury, that could keep him out. At least it will keep him out the rest of the preseason. Never know; it could keep out longer. Sometimes we don't get straight answers and correct timelines from this coaching staff on injuries. But I do think that what Khalil Mullins was able to do against the competition he was facing at the time was a good sign. Now we're going to see him try to do it against a bump up in competition. This is not to discount. Julius Chestnut looked pretty explosive as well.
Yeah, Julius Chestnut did this jump cut I hadn't seen him do ever in preseason or anytime he's been out there. So that was positive. But Mullins kind of was putting in a I'm going to give it this, a tough situation. First time, first carry, you get in the red zone, and you know they just want you to hit it. Like, okay, he had to get his little jitters out the way. Then after that, he progressively got better. That's exactly what I'm looking for out of Femi, though.
Yeah,
the exact same thing, just from a pass rush perspective. So, it was definitely positive after that. And, you got to get your feet wet, a little nervous. And this,
I was like, I saw the first one. I was like, well, that's not really what you saw on tape from Khalil.
And they brought him in just to hit it, too.
Yeah,
I mean, because it was a short yardage
But
situation.
then after that, he kept on doing it. And that's, to your point, what you want to see in a preseason game. Even from Cam Ward, right? We saw that he had some jitters. We saw him calm down and make some good plays and led them down to a touchdown. We saw that from Khalil Mullins. I think Jackson Slater looked pretty good from he started off getting pushed a little bit, but then he started rebounding. But the run game and the pass game didn't allow a pressure. I just look, and Gunnar Helm obviously already started looking good. We didn't really see much from Alec, didn't really see much from Chimray. We didn't really see much from Femi. And to be honest, those 3 guys are pretty more important than Jackson Slater and Khalil Mullins right now. And those 3 guys didn't show us enough. And now that's okay to admit in a preseason game. Now we have a baseline. Did they get better? They may not be great, but did they get better? And that's what we're looking for in the next preseason game for sure. There was something else I wanted to talk about, but I guess we gotta go. Gotta go. There's something else. Now it's gonna be bugging me for the rest of the day. So if I remember it, I'm writing it down. We're gonna talk about tomorrow. We're gonna write about tomorrow. All right. Other than that, this has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 105 The Zone. 3HL's up next. And in the meantime.
And in between time. Peace.